Hi, it's Nicole here with Kuma, and we're going to be talking about the drop it command. Now, I know that, well, from what I read, he is interested in toads and other items that we really don't want him to have. So, since we can't really get him too excited to kind of latch on to something and not give it back to us, we will have to just be discussing the drop it today. However, if you guys do have anything at home that he's really attached to, maybe he needs a little bit of help when you ask him to release that specific item, please bring it on by or have one of our limo drivers come pick that toy up, because we need something for him to really get super excited about. And you know, we tried some towels, food scented things, other toys. So want to make sure that we can definitely work on that command with you while, you know, Kuma can display his possessiveness of that item and we can help him release it. Okay, but first thing, want to make sure that we're going over the leave it command. Now, when we walk Kuma, so make sure that his collar is in the proper position, right up at the top part of his neck here, directly behind the ears. That's going to help us maintain control over his head. So when we're walking Kuma, good boy. And let's say he sees something off on the side, it's going to be easier for us to bring him along with us or bypass that object without that collar falling at the base of his neck, because that's really going to empower him, and he's a super strong dog and he's a big boy. So we want to make sure that we're using as little physical strength as possible. Okay? And also, want to make sure that we have some high value treats with us. When we're practicing, when we're training with Kuma, he's food motivated, so this is going to help us bring his attention back to us. If we, let's say, use a treat that's everyday kind of doggy biscuit, he might not be interested in that when the time comes for him to either leave an item or drop a specific item that he considers to be high value. So let's say he did grab a toad, and that little guy is just squirming around in his mouth and he thinks it's great. He's having a great time with the toad. But of course we don't want him to have that in his mouth. So by us trying to remove that item, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to release it, because he doesn't have anything that's of high value to, I guess, be rewarded by. So if you have any really delicious food with you, real meat pieces, some dogs really love the pepperoni, something really, really delicious that he doesn't get all the time, it's going to help Kuma release that item. And also it's good to reward him after he leaves an item that maybe it takes a little while for him to realize that, oh, he can't just go over there and grab it. It's going to take a lot for him to resist, especially if it's something that he considers to be absolutely wonderful. Okay, so there we go. We're going to start right now with the leave it, and we're going to talk about the drop it afterward. Now, when we start off with the leave it, we want to use things that are of, let's say, mediocre value. So I have a couple boxes on the side here. I'm not starting him out with any food or anything like that right now. That would set him up for failure here. So want to start off with something that he doesn't really care too much about. And when he looks at that item, when he acknowledges that item, that is the point in time when I want to ask him to leave it. Not when he goes towards the item, and not when he's already there with the item in his mouth. As soon as he makes eye contact with that thing, we want to let him know that he cannot have it. He's to leave it alone. Okay, so we're going to start off with those boring distractions right now. It's going to be easier for him to leave those items. And I also want to make sure that I can reward him with my treats here. And we're going to be talking to Kuma the whole time. So especially if you find that maybe he's a little bit distracted or anything like that, make sure you're constantly talking to him. You might think you sound like a crazy person, but communication with your dog whenever you're taking them out is very important. You don't ever want them to think up stuff to do. You need to give them a job and give them something to do. All right, so here we go. Get these boxes over here. See if he's interested. Right there. All right. And we're going to give him one other item of interest. Let's do that right here. Yep. Good. Here. Good, leave it. Good, leave it. Good one. Okay, he's doing a fantastic doing fantastic, by the way, with taking food gently. He's doing a great job. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so he's doing really well, so we're going to up the ante here. Yep. All right, once again, Kuma's doing a fantastic job. Leaving it, leaving everything. Yep. Yes. Oh, little defiant here. He does not want to come with. So, we must continue moving. Let's do it. Come on. Yep. No. Yep. Yes. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Now I know Kuma can be a little defiant, a little stubborn. However, we want to make sure that he follows through with commands every single time. So since he was putting up a little bit of a fight there, he did it, he healed after a little bit. I want to make sure that he gets a really nice treat and a good pet. He did a great job. So if he ever has any issues with, let's say, going somewhere, moving forward, he's being stubborn, he doesn't want to do it, make sure that the end reward is worth it. If he likes a nice massage afterward and a treat, be sure to give that to him since he did a really good job. I want to make sure that his experiences are as pleasant as possible. Yep. All right, so he's doing great. He's not interested in anything here. It might be well, it probably is different for you at home. Considering that you're his owner, you know the things that he really gets into, things that he likes best. Being at a different location other than home, might not be interested in anything other than what you guys have there. So, once again, I'll be explaining this one. Okay, so we do have items around, might interest Kuma. I'm not going to be placing any toads around here or anything, but once again, once he makes eye contact with that item that you do not want him to have, good boy, you do not want him to have, let him know. Leave it. If he does not leave it and decides to go towards that item, want to avoid pulling back on the lead. It's going to make his collar slide down. So all we want to do is pull out to the side. So just remember, we never pull back on our dog. We can pull them off to the side to make sure that their collar is still in that proper location at the very top part of their neck there. Now, if he needs a little bit of a jingle on the leash to let him know that, kind of snap him out of whatever he's fixated on, give him a little chuk chuk right on that leash there, a little jingle. Snap him out of his fixation on that item. As soon as he looks back up to you, makes eye contact with you, what you doing? What you jingling me for? Good boy, he's making eye contact. That's great. Good, leave it. And now you can continue on your way. So, we're going to talk about the drop it right now. Now let's say you have Kuma with you and he has an item that you don't want him to have, like a t-shirt, if he's into that kind of stuff, socks or things like that, a bone, something of high value. Make sure that when you practice it, it's inside of your house, in a safe, contained area, little distractions, so you're able to really hold Kuma's attention. Okay, so making sure you're having your high value treats with you, something really delicious. So when Kuma has that item and he does not give it back, we want to avoid trying to grab it and pull it out of his mouth. Now in emergency situations, I can show you how to open his mouth. If he has that toad in there or a bottle of pills or something very dangerous, we can open his mouth via force. However, of course we want him to drop that item when we ask him to. Now when he has that in his mouth, we're going to practice using our treats. First, you're going to have Kuma on the leash. He's going to have that item in his mouth, and once again, we're going to avoid trying to touch and pull that item out of his mouth. That's more than likely going to initiate play, and that's a whole new ball game right there. So we're going to have our treats right here. Now when Kuma has that item in his mouth, we're going to ask him to drop it. And once we ask him to drop it, we're going to kind of bait him. We're going to present him with the smell of food. Now, once again, that's going to be a very high value treat. So you're going to use the good stuff with that. Now when he smells that high value treat with that toy or sock or whatever he trying to shake with me, whatever he has, he will more than likely drop that item. Once he drops that item and you have your food here, you can give it to him while you're taking that item away. Once you do that, good drop it, good boy. You're going to be so excited he did a great job, because it's probably really hard for him to release those items, especially when dogs have something that they consider to be high value. Okay, so once again, right over here, even though he doesn't have anything in his mouth right now, because you don't want to take anything, he has item in his mouth. You're going to have your high value treat in your hand here. Come on. So once he has it in, you're going to tell him to drop it, and when you do, you're going to present your treat, drop it. Item's going to fall on the floor. You can let him eat that treat while you're taking that item away. Good, drop it. Good boy, Kuma, and make sure you get really excited because he did such a good job. So practice in the house. If you have something that is, let's say, that you really can't help, maybe he's out in the yard and he grabs that toad, you don't have time to ask him to drop it. Maybe he's munching on the toad and you don't want him to get sick. One of the ways to open his mouth via force, again, this is kind of a last resort thing, is to have your hands on his face here, and because he has lips that come down, we're going to kind of press down on the side of his face, and with his skin underneath his teeth, we're going to gently lift up his mouth. This is a surefire way of removing whatever dangerous object that might be in his mouth. So once again, last resort, using force in case there's anything, horrible happening. If there's a pill that he has that he's not supposed to, the toad, dead things, poison, slug pellets, You name it, you go in there, and you can open his mouth via force. Okay, so once again with the drop it, let's practice in the house. Present that high value item to him while he has that bone or that t-shirt or sock or what have you in his mouth. Once he drops that item, collect it and you can give him his treat at the same time. Again, letting him know he did a good job by reinforcing the command, good, drop it, good, drop it. And then slowly work out into areas of more distraction like your backyard. Use different things that he's been getting into, whatever dog toys or bones or things you may have. And if it's something that he has a lot, like the bone, make it a game. Make it fun for him to drop that item, to release that item, and you can present it to him to give it back. One of the things that dogs get really irritated about is that when we take an item from them and they don't ever get it back, they might start resource guarding. So we want to make sure that they know it's okay. We can collect those items and they can have them back. So make it into a game. Start off in your house. Little to no distractions. Work on this with Kuma and then graduate to outside. The same thing with that leave it command. You can do that inside. Work on it with little distractions and slowly bring him outside into the backyard, working on the leave it. Backyard, outside in general is going to provide more distractions for him, as well as, of course, going on a walk. Just remember to have him release something willingly. You have to have something of higher value than that item. All right, so I hope that we can work on this again next time. If you guys have anything that he's really interested in that he just won't let go, please let us have it or bring it on by or we'll come and get it. Would love to see Kuma in action there and work on that drop it. All right, so this has been Nicole here with Kuma talking about drop it, and we've been going over leave it, and he was amazing. We'll see you later. Bye.